ever felt your stomach tighten when you see another dog on a sidewalk? Or wondered why your dog reacts so strongly when you're just trying to go for a normal walk? You are not alone, and that is exactly what we are unpacking on today's episode of Tails and Tones. Because sometimes it's not about having a bad dog, as people would say, and putting that in air quotes. It's about understanding what is happening beneath that behavior. Hi there, and welcome to Tails and Tones. I'm your host, Mariska, also known as Piper's mom. So this podcast exists to help modern pet parents simplify everyday care and elevate life with our dogs without sacrificing style, sustainability, or peace of mind. It is a space for thoughtful conversations, experts' insights, and real-life stories that make dog parenting feel a little easier and a lot more connected. I'm so excited to welcome today's guest, Mena Lopes. Mena is the founder of Ginger's Way and behaviorist, and we are talking about reactivity, potty training, regression, force-free training on hard days, and how to actually stay kind to yourself through it all. We're so grateful to have you here today, but before we dig in, just one quick note. We've recently announced our very first Tails and Tones product, an elevated food and water system that is designed to support healthier and more comfortable meal times. And we are building it slowly and intentionally alongside our amazing community. And if you'd like to be part of shaping this product, you can actually join. We've just announced our name, Piper's Founders Pack, that is available for only the first 100 people that sign up onto our waiting list. The link will be in our bio as well as in the show notes. And you can help us kind of, bring this product, shape it, and make sure that it is the perfect bowl for you as well. Alrighty, let's dig in. Please give a awesome welcome to today's guest, Mena Lopes. So, Mena, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Mariska. We're very excited.
You are most welcome. So for our listeners who may be new to your work, could you introduce yourself and share a little bit about what it is that you do?
Okay, so I'm a dog trainer behaviorist for the past 10 years, I think, 9, something like that. I started in Portugal, so my main degrees were conservation biology, and I found Ginger one day back in the field in Portugal, and she was a scared little doggy, believe it or not. For the people who knew Ginger, you never met her. She was the kind of dog that you put the leash on the floor and she'll be terrified, like, oh my God, there's something attached to me. So I wanted to train the dog to be confident and more comfortable. I didn't want paid for people to train the dog. So I figure like it's animal behavior. How much different can it be from the birds that I study already? Very different. So I just start switching into dog behavior and the way that they learn and everything. And then after 1 year, I think 1 year of becoming a dog trainer, the opportunity to come to Dubai came. So me and Ginger moved to Dubai by ourselves. And 3 years ago, we decided that was enough working for other people. And we created Ginger's Way together. And it's been like that for 3 years now.
Oh, wow. And like kind of beyond like dog training, how would you describe what you actually do day to day?
Psychology, coach, life coach, best friend, shoulder to cry people, cheerleader, auntie, God, no, like all of the above. Like it's so much more than just like teaching people how or teaching the dog to sit, like especially because I work with a lot of like more complicated cases. So people, when they come to me, they are already like, it's hard to have a reactive dog. It's hard to have a dog that comes off as an aggressive dog. So people like just, and then that causes a lot of friction in the family. So I have sometimes moments in my consults that I look like I'm not qualified for this to give you life advice in these kinds of things. I'm too young. So it is hard. So it's not just happy and cuddles as a lot of people think. A lot of, you have the best job in the world. You play with puppies all day. Like, no. It's the best job, but I don't play with puppies all day.
Oh, I love that. And I like kind of, talking about the families that, usually find their way to you. What do people then often misunderstand about dog behavior before they start working with you?
They think that it's going to be quick, that their dogs are going to get over their anxieties, their fears, their issues in a month. And then when I start to explain them, like, actually, this might take a little while, that's when they're like, oh, wait a second, dogs also have anxieties and fears just like people, and they need to go to the psychologist and psychiatrist. And so it is getting that stigma that the dog is not acting out. It's not just a matter of you slap the dog in the face and everything goes back into shape. It's like it's something more rooted in, just like us people.
And that is something that kind of pops up a lot because, when people say, oh, I'm just going to get a, dog behaviorist to come and, sort out this. And that is typically what people think. And they like one session and,
And
we're all good.
magic dust on top of the dog, we're good.
So it's
Sorted for
definitely
life.
not as easy. It is a journey. And it also depends on like the dog itself. And I mean, here in the UAE, reactivity seems to be a very big concern.
Yes.
What does reactivity actually look like in everyday lives for family?
For families, it can look like into their kids not having their friends come over for play dates because the dog is a stranger danger dog, or even their own friends. Um, it can look like you wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning to take the dog on a walk just so you can get on a walk without your dog losing their mind. And if you go out with your dog during a more busy time, or when there's the other muggles that they don't have reactive dogs, looking at them like they have unleashed Satan in the world, basically. So it's a lot of judgment. It's very hard. Reactivity for family, for the owners, it's hard for the dog, but it's very hard for families as well.
How do you kind of address that? Obviously, there's no cookie cutter like this works for reactivity because each dog is different.
Yeah.
And, they kind of bring in whatever past there is. And here, there's a lot of dogs that's been adopted as well. So you don't necessarily know their entire life story when you kind of get their dog. So it's like kind of, going through different scenarios and trials and errors and, seeing what will work. But what is some of those key things that you maybe start with when you see a reactive dog? Like,
I
what
think
what do we do?
the key thing, not so much about like what do you actually do with the dog, but it's like reassuring the owner that you didn't screw up the dog, because most of the times, as you said, they are adoptive dogs, so they have that decompressing period before they show their true all the baggage that they have, right? So they start by getting the shyest dog in the adoption day, the cutest little one that's in the corner, so shy. And then as time progresses in the house, this dog starts to become not shy anymore, starts to become much more reactive. So it is a lot of like, what have I done? So it's first of all, like you did nothing wrong most of the times. There's always that 1%, but you did nothing wrong. And also like trying to understand to people your dog is not doing it on purpose, and really it's really like that part of education. So when people realize that the dog is not doing on purpose, the dog is not controlling what's happening with them at the moment of the reactivity, that's the most important thing. So people can be more tolerant and people can be more compassionate with their own dog, and be more willing to work with the dog. Because if you are fed up with the dog and you think the dog is just like barking because they want to bark, or they want to embarrass the owners, or they're just being sillies or stupids or whatever, like it's much harder to train the dog and have people following your instructions. But if
Mm.
they understand like your dog is not doing this on purpose, it makes a whole difference. And that's the thing that I focus the most is like, okay, let's have a sit down, let's have a chat. Sorry, Nat is making sure I'm keep myself busy here. So that's the main thing is like, it's not your fault, and it's also not your dog's fault. So let's all be a little bit kinder to everyone.
So it's almost like you need to train the pet owners first, and then we can train the dog. Once
Yeah.
they have that aha moment and they can kind of, go and take the necessary steps, because I feel also when we get help in, because we had a dog behaviorist help us with Piper when we just got her, because we have in our head, this is what a dog needs to be,
Yeah,
this is what a dog needs to do, and that is not necessarily what your dog's gonna do. So
exactly.
when we got that in, it was kind of like, I was very open to like all different things. And my husband was a little bit more like, I don't know if this woman seems a bit out of the box. I don't know about this. So it really took like kind of, to get over those
Yeah.
barriers first. And then, we could really do what is best for Piper.
Yeah, that it's exactly the same here as well. It's breaking that thing, like getting people to understand that, like, yes, your dog is social, dogs are social, but your dog can be social just with you, and that's okay. Your dog does not need to join the dinner party you're having if that is something that doesn't make your dog happy. If your dog
Mm,
doesn't like to go to the coffee shop, you don't need to push it. And it's having this, like, that's okay. If your dog doesn't enjoy those things, it's okay. That's fine. And that's the most difficult thing, because yeah, people see you on Instagram, oh, the doggies go everywhere, so cute, da da da. No, thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. So it
Nata's having her say as
not
well.
is
Yeah.
not is having her saying. So it that is the hardest thing. It's yeah.
Yeah. And it is sometimes difficult if you don't have a reactive dog. Like for us, like I wouldn't say Piper is really reactive or anything. She's got really good behavior and she's, quite a shyish type of dog, especially
Mm.
in new environments. But when we do go out and, we kind of go for a walk, I've noticed in the last couple of months that she's being a little bit more reactive to dogs, like especially male dogs, if
Mm.
they, sniff her the wrong way, and then she's like, hell no. And then she almost like snaps at
Yeah.
them. And then I'm like, okay, is this something we need to address right now? Like what do you do? Like,
You do address it so it doesn't escalate, because the thing with reactivity, kind of at some point, and this is where you're fighting against, it becomes a default mode, like in
Mm,
doubt bark, or in doubt react, because react works, right? React
yeah.
causes the things that made them feel a certain way disappeared. So awesome. So that's the thing that you need to start working. It's common that the dog starts being reactive for one trigger, and then with the time passing without you doing anything, it just kind of starts becoming reactive to everything else as well, because the dog, it
Mm.
just becomes a learned behavior, right? Like, oh, I don't know what to do with myself in this situation, so let me just bark and react. So definitely work on it now.
Yeah. So what advice would you be? Is it like, we need to do a session and be like, how do we get this out? But
Go on a
like for
walk together.
anyone that's kind of going through this, because I feel especially as female dogs get a little bit older,
Yeah.
they get, same as us as women. If
Yeah.
like a guy hits on me at the park and I'm like, hey dude, I'm married, like seriously, I don't know. Kind of it almost feels like it's
It
that
is.
reaction.
It is.
And yeah, because I mean, she was never like that when she was younger. She was still like this sassy, never liked humping at all. But it feels like now it's getting to a point where if a dog's just sniff her the wrong way and then she's like, hey, you know,
Fair as well. Also fair, like some dogs, they do need to put themselves into place, and they do need those angry aunties to tell them, like, this is not how we behave. But yeah, so normally, like, the way we work, like the fancy words that we work with reactivity, it's to desensitize and counter condition. So basically you expose the dog into the triggers without being too much. So almost like
mm,
immunotherapy. So you want to introduce Piper to dog sniffing her without being too much, or like a quick little sniff, without her being overwhelmed. And then we normally use the counter condition that is something yummy. So when you get sniffed, you get something really, really yummy. So sniffing didn't took that long. It took literally a second, and then we walked away and you got something yummy. So maybe there's no reason to be so upset about being sniffed. Okay.
mm,
But honestly, as well, like, the best thing you can do is not taking good behavior for granted, because we do.
mm.
Humans are also reactive. We can have the best dog for years, and then now that Piper is starting to tell dogs, like, enough is enough. I spent, how old is Piper?
She's turning 6 in October.
I've been being sniffed for the past 6 years without any sort of consent whatsoever. So I'm just going to start telling my piece. And now he's like, oh, I need to get a behaviorist to work with the dog now, right? It's been
Yeah.
great for 6 years, but now that she like, I'm done, you're like, oh no, we need to work on this. So it is like acknowledging the good behavior all the time. It's so hard for me to tell people, if your dog does something good, just tell them that they did good. And against my self-talk as well. Like Ginger would be the kind of dog that she couldn't care less about dogs. Like she'll pass by dogs. I'll be the kind of owner that I'll be reading a book in the dog park because she wouldn't even go close to a dog. She'll be pissing everywhere, marking territory, digging her holes, happy, happy, happy. She didn't want to play with anyone. When I moved to Dubai, she started making friends and friends and friends and friends, and she had a massive group of friends. So the last few years, if she would see a dog, she would start like barking and running to the dog because she wanted to play with the dog. I'm like, great. Dog of the dog trainer wants to play with everything now and doesn't listen when she wants to play. So I needed to work with her on that. And I just felt like for 8 years, she was great. If I would have just like tell her how great she was for those first
Mm.
8 years, she would didn't need to change that behavior, right? Because I would keep reassure her like, this is good, keep doing that, right? So yeah.
Yeah, so definitely need to do that. And what is some of those like the biggest myth that you love to gently clear up about reactive dogs?
About reactive dogs, a big
Yeah.
sniff. That's such a good question. I don't know. I'll say that if your dog barks and you give him a treat, he knows that barking it's good when we're dealing with reactivity. Or if you talk to your dog when he's barking, scared of his life, you are rewarding the barking and you're telling your dog it's okay to bark at my friends coming over. That, like, that you cannot reward fear, that is the biggest myth, I would say.
So what can they do if that happens?
Talk with your dog. Your dog is terrified. Reactivity, yes, you do have that 1% of reactivity that it's the dog being an asshole, if I'm allowed to say it. Like
Yeah.
you do have that, okay? You do have that. There is 1%, but all the other percentage is dogs not knowing how to regulate their emotions in that setup, and or they are terrified because it's either unknown and they don't know how to handle themselves in that situation, or they had past traumas with that situation. So if you are terrified of something or unsure how to handle yourself in a situation, if your husband comes and like, it's okay, Mariska, it's fine, we can do it, or if not, let's just move a little bit, there's no I'm here for you, you don't get afraid of that situation more. You just know,
Mm.
you know what, he's here, he's supporting me, let's do it, was not that bad. So it's exactly the same with your dog. So talk with your dog, help him to move away, just understand why is he barking, so then you can help them, or why is he reacting, so then you can help better.
Yeah, that's true. I love that. And obviously, with reactivity, it is definitely, I feel, something that we can address with different ways that you've said. But a lot of people kind of often wonder, is it something that they can fix or do they live with it? Like,
Both. You fix and you live with it together. So reactivity takes long time, and the long time could be talking about years. So reactivity, when we start working with reactive dogs, is we give the owners, like, you have a management and a training plan. The training plan is when you actually change the behavior because all the conditions are met. We make sure that we are fully in charge of what's happening around us, and we are going to put our dogs in a situation that they're going to be 100% successful. That is your training plan. Everything else is management. You're just trying to deal with what's going on and try to do damage control. So the worst, not the worst, but one of the worst cases, and she knows I talk about her and her dog a lot, of a stranger danger dog, so a dog that would not like people coming over, was this dog Peanut, a desert dog. And the first conversation that I was having with the owner, we were sitting on the couch and Peanut was being put it away. He was on his crate, he was crate trained, he was inside of the bedroom, and Peanut got out of the crate, and he was coming from the door. And I told the owner, like, let's talk downstairs because Peanut is coming and Peanut is not happy. And after a couple of years, that dog has people coming over, no issue. He never bit anyone. There was never a situation. The owner was so good and always making sure that Peanut would be a good boy. And I saw them now a few weeks ago after a long break, and Peanut came and sniffed me, big sniff. And I'm like, hi. friends now. So you know what? They do change and they have an amazing resilient capacity. It's because the time frame is not what we want. Sometimes we
Mm,
stop. So if the
yeah.
owners don't stop, they can change a lot. But
Yeah.
it's also acknowledging that your dog might never going to be the happy Nata that sees a person. It's like best friends forever. That's okay. As long
Mm.
as they don't scream out of their lungs, I don't like you, get away from me.
Yeah. I love that. And I mean, for something that I've been doing, and, I've kind of associated the word friend with a lot of, the people that we
Yeah.
like, friend. So I would often, if there's someone new, I would introduce them to Piper and say, friend, and, kind of have her also associate that
Yeah.
word. Whether she does or not, I don't know. It's something I believe, but I feel, it kind of makes her a little bit more calmer,
Yeah.
and that she knows, okay, this is our people, yes, we can, be
Yeah.
happy.
100%. She knows. Like, so I had the same words but for cats with Ginger. And if I would not say that word when I saw a cat, Ginger had a love-hate relationship with cats. If I wouldn't say that word and we were on a walk and she saw a cat, she would chase the cat. But if I'd said the
Wow.
word, she would just like, oh, cat. Ah, okay, it's friend. Let's just walk away then. So 100% the words, those words and those things, those associations that we create makes a difference.
And what is one small shift that often brings really relief, like early on?
For reactivity,
Yeah, for any training or anything that might be an issue, what are some of those relief?
what do you mean by relief? Sorry.
So stuff that can help, with the pet owners, like when they start with that, is there small shifts that kind of help them almost like navigate through that, because this is not, like we said, a magic wand we whip out and everything happens magically. So what is there certain things that help them to kind of like offer support or anything that you would say from early on? Or is it just once they snap it, they get it, they accept it, we train?
I mean, it's a little bit like that. It's like getting them to start at least once a week being good and doing the training and then slowly like quality over quantity and them understanding that. Um I mean, there's not really easies or like
Yeah.
quick. That is not a good question, Mariska.
Yeah. And is there any like subtle signals that dogs actually give us that we as the humans or the pet parents very easily can miss?
Oh, so many. So many. Let me tell you about my favorite one, the little lick on the face of the kid. So the kid goes and stuffs his face on the dog's, and the dog gives a little lick, and it's like, oh, so cute. That is what we call a dismissive lick, that it's literally the dog saying, get away from my face. That
Oh,
was not cool, you know? And then a lot of times people send videos, and then I'm looking at the videos, I'm like, this dog is going to start a fight, this dog is going to start a fight. And then the fight happens. I'm like, oh my God, how come no one
wow.
saw that? Because it's the dismissive lip is dogs have a face. I call it an oh shit face. Basically, their eyes go like really wide, and you can see that they're all stiff and looking. And there's a dog smell them from behind, and their whole face is like, "Holy crap, what's that?" I'm like, "Do something! Your dog is trying to talk to you right now that they're not okay with what's going on." And then we miss that, and then the dog barks, and then they tell them, "Stop it."
Mm,
So it's we call them the calming signals. So that's the fancy name. So it's the whale eyes. So the dog's looking to the side to the point that you can see the white of the eyes. Depending on, I mean, our dog's body talks so much. So you do need to read ears, tail, body position when they're comfortable at home, so you can pick up on all the tiny little things when there is a reaction or when they're in a situation. Like a lot of reactive dogs, the first thing they do when they're notice a trigger is the ears are normally like this, and then the ears just go a little bit up. I'm like, you saw it already, start
mm,
working, the lip licking. So they are just seeing something happening and they're lip licking themselves a lot. So there is a lot of signs, and we ignore the quiet signs and we just pay attention to the loud signs. And the
yeah.
loud signs is barking. So there's a
Okay. Yeah, because that is a very interesting thing because Piper never used to lick at all, but we had recent surgery done where we extracted like 6 of her teeth. And since then, because she kept on biting her own tongue,
Yeah, you
so
told me.
like her tongue is so disformed, it's not even funny. And so now she's all of a sudden started licking. So she would kind of come and lick us in the face. And then I'm like, is that the signal? Like, we're not going towards her and getting the kiss. So she,
Again, you need
yeah,
to read into context, right?
okay.
So, like, it's not, oh, my dog yawned, my dog is stressed, or my dog is licking himself, is stressed. Like, no, it's like calming signals. It's almost like an equation, you know? You have
Mm,
this and this and this plus this environment. Okay, maybe let's move the dog away, you know? So, like, if she comes to you, you're sitting on the couch peacefully, and the dog comes to you and licks, the dog is not tell you to go away, right? But if you touch a body part that it's sore, for example, and the dog starts
mm,
licking you, it could be that he's just telling like that hurts, please don't do that. Or if you do, your dog is sleeping or on his bed and you go and kiss him, or you hug them and pick them up and they don't really like to be picked up and they're licking you all over. So those are more like what we call the dismissive kisses. So again, you do need to read into context.
Awesome. And that will be different for each dog. So it's so
100%.
important to
Yes.
know your own dog's
Know your
language
dog.
and also don't go up to a stranger's dog and just like put your face in their
Yep.
face because honestly, that's a big no-no. And I feel it's as like the dog owner's responsibility. Like Piper is very sensitive of her face. So and here often kids come and
Yep.
then they want to touch her. And I always say, no, please don't. Unless Piper kind of approach them, I let them touch her. But
Yeah.
otherwise, no, they won't touch her because you never know. You know, maybe someone's touching her a little bit harder. And sometimes the kids go for the tail, which I'm
Yep.
like, you know. I probably should not swear at these kids right now, but I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. So it's one of those things. But yeah, it's definitely, you know, we need to stand up for our dogs
100%.
as well. And so something we kind of touched on before we hit that record is a Leash Explorer, which I'm so excited for. We're doing our first adventure this weekend and
Finally.
I'll keep everyone posted. But we also had Ivana on the podcast from Doggy Adventures, and it is something that you and her and there's another company as
Hussein
well.
from HK.
Yes. That kind of started that. Like, what kind of was the need that you felt, you know, was seeing kind of for dogs and like pet parents that led to Leash Explorer? Like, tell us a little bit more.
So the need was because after COVID, me and Ginger just start exploring the country a lot, and we stop doing brunches and beach days, and we've just been out the whole weekend hiking and camping and everything and exploring. And as due to that, I would be posting a lot of photos and a lot of everything. So I started having like the clients that are with me for a long time. So that little that I have that are with me for a long time, they'll start like, Mena, where is this? Mena, where is this? Like, where are you? Ta-da-da. How did you brought Ginger there? I'm like, this is the UAE, you know? And since so I don't know if you know, but in Portugal, we have this thing of like the freshmen and they need to do things and they get like a godmother to guide them through the process and ta-da-da. So I was always very keen on those kinds of activities. So like all my goddaughters and godsons from college, I would tell them like, you here's a list of things you need to do to go to see Lisbon and to find about Lisbon, and they would need to do and be things like go to this place and take a picture, go to that place and do that. So like so it kind of starts with that, like people are in this country and they don't know about this country, so let's get them to show the country. So it started like that. Leash Explorer at the beginning, when the idea came through, was supposed to be like kind of the same, like here's a list of things, go do it, and then just let me know you did it. And then I brought Hussein and Yvonne in to help me. Hussein had all the experience of the part of the adventure, and Yvonne with all of her contacts of what pet-friendly places, dog-friendly places were and were not. So it kind of became this monster that it's Leash Explorer right now, right? But the idea was just like, here's a list of things for you to go and do. Go do it. Have fun. Let me know how
Yeah.
it goes. And that was just merge everything together. My scout experience, and that's why there's the badges. So you are collecting the badges the same that we collect in the scouts. So it just like was just putting all the experiences that I had as an adventure person together with then Hussein and Yvonne just make it the cool that it is.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, that is something that I struggle with because I mean, I'm usually a little bit more like an outgoing, take on adventures, but I feel it is so challenging. If I don't know a place is dog friendly, then I'm like, okay, I'll probably go there by my own first before I bring Piper. So
Yes.
it's like when you do want to go out for a hike, there's like so many different things that I need to like look at. Like, number one, is it actually okay for Piper, who,
Yeah.
does not walk very far, overheats very easy. So there's all of these things. So that's why I'm so excited for this because it will get me out hiking, whereas I am really scared doing that on my own. And even
Yeah.
though I am going to do it on my own, it still feels like I can
It's
message
guided.
and be,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I'm so excited. So we're going to keep you guys posted. So thanks for creating that.
You're welcome.
And now, so obviously we talked about reactivity, but one of the other things that so often pops up, some of our listeners ask about it, and that is potty training and like potty training expectations versus reality. What are some of those biggest mismatches you see?
Mismatches in terms of how long it took or like
Yeah, kind of, we think this is potty training in a nutshell, and then we get this instead. The
I mean,
dog's maybe not doing anything, or it's like taking months to get there.
yeah. I think with again, that's the stigma with dog training. I think people just think like, oh, in a week the doggy picks it up. Potty training is not in a week. It's about routines and schedules and understanding that if the dog is sick, the routine is going to go back. If you go on holidays, things go backward. So it is consistency, and people just think dog training is like working out for us people. You do a lot at the beginning, a lot to reach a certain level, but then you need to maintain it. People think that dog training is you copy paste a folder into the laptop and it's done. Part of the laptop. It's not. It does take a long time. So body training, teaching a trick, skills like reactivity, it takes time. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also feel when you get like a new dog, that is like probably that first couple of weeks is so crucial because that is when you put in like this is where we go potty, this is how we do this. And if you do it differently every single time, it's going
Yeah.
to confuse the hell out of your dog.
Yeah.
So you need to be strict. And like, I mean, if you're on a call and the dog needs to go, you can't all of a sudden be like, okay, that's fine. Just pee in the corner because, that's going to
Yeah,
become
but that's
that.
what happens, right? A lot of people don't understand, like, especially with puppies, that they're bringing a baby into the house, right? So, like, I have people sometimes coming to me like, oh, we cannot change our lifestyle that much. I'm like, you brought a baby into the house. You are changing your lifestyle. Like, there's not a discuss. You're going to move your plants up. You're going to take your Lego and your shoes up on upper shelves to help your puppy being a good puppy. Like, you will change your like, yes, you want to train your dog and raise them to be dogs that will fit into your lifestyle, but you need to do concessions. You can't just bring a dog, put them in an apartment full of your precious toys, and that the dog is not allowed to play, or your plants or your shoes, and expect the dog not to nibble on them. Like, it's the expectations that we put on dogs are insane.
And I feel like kind of, when you think about that, when puppies, if they're puppies, their teeth is still, they milk teeth. And so it is like a baby. They
It is.
teething. We give baby stuff to chew on all the time when they're teething. But, we then get mad when the puppy chews on a table and we didn't give them anything. So,
Yep.
yeah, it's really thinking about what is it that we can give them. But for a lot of people, after they've done the potty training and, their dog has been absolutely amazing in potty training, and then sometimes their dog starts peeing in the house, later on. And it's like, oh my gosh, my dog's peeing on my bed now all of a sudden every single day. And, I think they're mad at me, or people are
Mm.
like making all of these assumptions, but not really understanding what is wrong. And I mean, if we've ruled out, so, because Piper actually peed on our sofa, and then she peed on my sofa in my study, and I was like, okay, let's take her to the vet and rule out any health issues. Like, let's make sure there's no health issues. And then there was none, and I was like, why do you keep peeing on the bed or on the sofas? But then she stopped, and so we didn't really take it any further. I was like, if she does it again, then maybe that's when we get, someone in.
Yeah.
But if someone is going through something like that, what are some of the reasons that our dogs might be doing that? And how can we kind of get those or help those people to make sure that their situation is resolved?
I mean, the best thing that they can do is to create a diary. So, like, really, of the dog's activities. And this sounds really silly, and people look at me like, man, are you crazy when I ask them to do that? But it does help a lot. So, you get context. So, we just found out, for example, that one of my clients said the dog every now and then does have an accident in the house. And the dog is a little bit fearful of people coming over. It's always after people were in the house. She is going to have accidents after that. So it comes through because of that anxiety. So you keeping, if it's not, as you said, medical, if it's not a UTI, most of the times it's a UTI, but if it's not medical, it's you having a diary like, okay, so this happened today. We went on a walk like this. The dog had an accident, or the dog didn't have an accident. So then you can actually start understanding what's going on and how can you change it.
Yeah. So then it's just figuring out if there's similarities,
Yeah.
and then, and then I still feel, because I feel a lot of people are like, magic. Let's let's go to Mena and be like, this is my diary. What is
Yep.
happening? Let's like just not make this a habit type of thing. So it is a bit of a challenge, and there's a lot of things that we need to go through. But, something like that probably won't change overnight. So what would you recommend, like, for that client, which says every time someone comes over, the dog will have an accident? Is it just something we kind of live with, or do we then work with the dog getting more comfortable with people coming over?
So it's exactly that. So we are working with the dog getting more comfortable with people coming over, and also we are teaching the dog how to hold a little bit better, because this happens a lot in this country, because there is always someone with the dog. So the dogs kind of just learn how to signal. If I sit at the door, someone will take me out. So they don't really learn how to hold, like dogs back at home, that we don't have constant help. So the dog is in an apartment all day. So they do need to learn how to hold, right? So it's a both ways. So it's learning how to hold a little bit better and getting more comfortable around with guests, so it doesn't get her so stressed.
Awesome. And what does like force-free, choice-based training look like on like those hard days when your dog is barking, pulling, having accidents, everything happening at once? Yeah, how do we stay true to the force-free,
Wine,
choice-free training?
wine and beer, lots.
You've heard this first here, guys. Train with the wine.
People who know me, they know it's true. No, honestly, like we're only humans. Like that's also like we're only humans. I mean, I lose my shit with Nata every now and then as well. It's normal. We're humans. We have our bad days as well. That's it. You just
Take the
sometimes
wine, go to the bathroom, close the door, and
cry a little bit and then come back outside for your child.
oh, cool. We'll work on that. And so you've worked with, like, honestly, so many different dogs and families over the years. What has there been like a moment where you like kind of went like, wow, this really like kind of stood with me, or this is something that was really amazing that happened with your training, or yeah. Or do you have so many you don't know?
The thing is, I'm really bad with people's faces, but I remember the dogs and the situation. So I remember, if you put my dog in front of me, I'm going to remember what I did with the dog and what we did and how did we start. So, I mean, just as an example, yesterday I got a message from a client that moved to Spain a few years ago, and we were working with Leash Reactivity, because Monty was very terrified, typical desert dog, terrified of everything and be reacting on trucks, bicycles, kids, on a prams, people, you counted. So they knew they were going to relocate, so they wanted to make sure to Spain, so they wanted to make sure that Monty will be comfortable. So she just messaged me now saying that Monty drags them to the coffee shop now every day, and he loves going on walks, and he went on a train ride to Malaga and he loved his life and he doesn't react to anyone. So it's those things, that are like, oh my God, people still continue to work with the dog, or dogs that are joining the group classes and they started being enemies that they can't stand each other at all. And now they're best friends and they go on adventures together and they're doing Leash Explorer together, for example, and they become tight friends. Those are the things that makes an impact. So, but yeah, every dog, if I work with a dog, you put the dog in front of me, I'm like, yep, I remember what we did.
Oh, I love that. And obviously Ginger kind of started this journey for you. So what do you think Ginger would be most proud of today that you've accomplished?
Everything. Everything, 100%. Leash Explore her, Ginger's Way, everything. She'll be very happy that she's not here to take care of Nata. That is for sure. She hated puppies. She had no puppies, so but everything, for sure.
And where can people find you and Ginger's Way?
Instagram, Facebook, and we have the website as well, but Instagram, it's always easier and faster.
Awesome. And we will link all of that up in our show notes as well. And you also have a toy library here in Dubai, I believe.
Yes, I do.
How does that work? A quick brief.
Yeah, so that was the idea, and the point of that was to do a enrichment library. So people get a little library card, and that every time they go, they could collect a new enrichment toy, because enrichment toys are so expensive. And then when the dog gets it, the dog gets it. And then you're stuck with a 300 dirhams toy at home that takes 2 seconds for the dog to finish. So that was the idea to create a really big library database kind of thing for people to just, at a small price, 50 dirhams a month, you can just go and swap as many toys as you want. People are not very keen on it.
Oh gosh, because elsewhere, in Australia and things like that, we've got similar things and people would just use it all. Yeah, so we need to bring back people that want to share that
libraries.
Economy.
We need to bring back libraries. I love libraries when I was a kid, so we need to bring back libraries.
Exactly. Amazing. Thank you so much for being such an amazing guest on the podcast. And we see Nata as well. Hello. Oh, look at that face. Hello.
For having me and Nata.
You're most welcome. Oh. Mena, thank you so much for sharing your time and your expertise with us. This was such a thoughtful conversation. It's conversations like this that really reminds us that behavior isn't about control, it's about communication. And sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is to really slow down and to really listen. Thank you for our amazing listeners for tuning into today's episode of Tales and Tones. If today's conversation actually spoke to you, I would love for you to head on over, write us a review on podchaser.com, and also share this episode maybe with a fellow pet parent who might need to hear it too. If you've got any questions, thoughts, or just want to say hi, come on, head on over to our Instagram at Tales and Tones, where every tale tells a story and every tone speaks from the heart. See you in the next one.